What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to FudgeMuppet. I'm Scott here with Michael and Drew, as always, for the Elder Scrolls podcast. And today, we have a special episode for you. We have AllinAll. You may know him from creating the Pelinal animation. That's where I first found him. He's made a whole bunch of other Elder Scrolls animations. I actually voiced in one of them. But yeah, introduce yourself.
It's me.
Nice. Is that an effect?
What effect?
He's just in a really big
That
room.
effect.
This one.
Just like the animations. Just like the animations, this is going to get esoteric.
He's achieved a
I've
godhood
spent,
already.
like I told you, I've spent 2 hours yesterday. It's a big event for me. I pretty much have a
He's achieved Kim.
soundboard.
Oh, God.
I have other things. Wait. I have this thing.
Yeah,
I have
that
one.
was a bit
I have one. Wait, I have one for Drew. I'm not sure. Greetings, mortal. Is it good enough?
Wait, did you? That's
Wait,
pretty,
is that,
that's pretty
wait, is that
good,
supposed to be me?
Like, it, yeah, it sounds exactly like
Unfortunately, I don't remember any Deidre quotes.
Dude, did you use Morrowind?
No, it's
like,
just.
or do you make
it's
that yourself?
Just chorus. And I'm trying to speak lower because if I try to speak higher, it's gonna pick up all high frequencies. But I'm trying to speak lower, and
Sounds
it
like a pixie.
You
makes
could always
it
do Dagoth
lower,
speech
right?
or something. Do the whole thing
but-
by heart.
Actually, you know,
I know the Russian version of it by heart. But the funny thing, Russian version has echo on it. It doesn't have the pitched down voice.
Huh. How's the voice acting on the Russian versions of the Elder Scrolls games?
It's good.
Yeah.
But seriously, right? I only know the Morrowind one, and I think it's really good. I think it's because I haven't followed evolution of game localizations here. After a time much, I was trying to play games in the original language. But Morrowind, I got it on CD, and it was like one of early licensed, like properly localized games, and it used a bunch of like, I wouldn't say like legendary, but significant theater and like TV actors from here. And the dude who was the Dagoth Ur, and I believe at least Scott heard the Russian Dagoth Ur in Evangelidium. And I think he did an amazing job.
Yeah.
And like, but probably it depends if you played the original version of the game, and it's like one of your favorite games, and you have a lot of nostalgia for it. English Dagoth Ur probably takes a big chunk of that nostalgia, but I do think that the English version of him is kind of goofy. He doesn't sound menacing. He sounds like, that's why probably the reason for all those memes out there is because can't really take him seriously with that voice.
Well, that's one of the best things about the Dunmer accent, is it's very guttural and kind of like ash-choked, whereas he's got like a perfect theatre voice almost.
But he doesn't have the ash voice.
Exactly,
growly.
yeah.
He just sounds like weirdly bombastic.
Mm.
And the Russian one, you know what? That's something I can actually talk about. The Russian Dagoth Ur kind of reminds me of not so much the voice or intonation, but like the image that the voice invokes. Maybe the Apocalypse Now ending. The Marlon Brando character.
Yeah.
It's like this like calm psychopath.
Right,
You know, he doesn't sound as bombastic. He's like
A little
almost
more
like
brooding,
a melancholy to his voice.
Yeah. Huh.
I kind of like Russian Dagoth Ur. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the aesthetic that is like
And you-
probably the most timeless
I
nostalgic
just want to
part.
hear it now.
because we've got the overhaul on, and one of the overhauls redoes the voice and makes it seem a little bit more demonic. But then the original voice that you hear in like that, like Dagoth Wave stuff and so on, like that's the real OG one before.
Yeah. There was also a
yeah, I don't know.
Vivek voice that wasn't used in the game, right? But there are files in the game folders.
But see, Vivek sounds cool. Like he has that like echo thing, like you were doing before. But like when then you come to Dagoth and he just sounds like
also this
a bit funny.
So Morrowind would have been your first Elder Scrolls game then?
Yes.
And when did you get that?
Okay, wait.
Come on, tell us your first
Morrowind,
Scrolls
right?
experience.
Morrowind.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
I actually like the story. No, wait. Let me tell you a tale, mortal. Basically, right? It was my first RPG game, and I played it. I would imagine it was around the time it was released, but I wasn't internet savvy at all at the time. I'm gonna be leaking my age, but basically I was on dial-up internet at the time still, and like I was not using internet at all even though I had it, and I kind of didn't know much. I think all the gaming information I would get was from like gaming magazine. There was a really decent one, local gaming magazine before, and there were a couple, but like I preferred one over another. And that I don't think, I kind of can't remember if I started reading it after I played Morrowind or before, because I don't remember reading about the game anything. Like for example, I would distinctly remember seeing previews for Warcraft 3 in some like magazines before it was released, but I don't remember anything about Morrowind. And I got it by accident. My dad bought it for me when I asked him to get me like a 3D shooter because I wanted to get into esports. Because and like wait, it makes it sound like my dad doesn't know his game. He does, because he like he introduced me like Warcraft. He used to play Warcraft 2 or 1 at his radiation waste burial plant job on like a work computer, and he knew his stuff. Like everybody knew Doom at the time, and like Warcraft, Doom. What else? But basically, he got it. He did buy some 3D shooter for me, and also Morrowind for whatever reason. And like I launched it, and I feel like it's the best experience. Like, it kind of would be tricky to replicate this kind of gaming experience nowadays, with how everything is hyped up. Like especially if you're like online all the time. Yeah.
Well, it's a fairly brutal like first entry into RPGs, I think, because like nowadays it's so much different. Getting into RPGs, it's so much easier. You kind of get spoon-fed most things.
Yeah,
and it's so punishing. Like if you go back, you've got to know what you're doing, or you take a really long time to figure it out. But you go out into the wild and there's like a little Kwama worm thing, and it just kills you. It just takes you down. Like it's like just not what you'd expect.
There's no mods either, so you can't go and fix I don't like the luck to hit chance thing. The chance to hit. I like if I actually strike something that it hits them. But even I sometimes forget that Morrowind has that.
It's painful.
Yeah, because like we like our first game was Oblivion, so starting with Oblivion, and then I tried to go back to Morrowind a few times. Like I actually thought it was so cool, like the world. I remember like getting it in the bargain bin basically and playing it, but I really didn't. I just couldn't like do much in it because I could only get so far because I was just an incompetent like 10-year-old. But then I gave up on it. But I didn't actually get my real appreciation for Morrowind until like much later, probably even like post Skyrim, like probably like 2012 or something, and then going back into Morrowind and really kind of like.
I kind of like your story of it. Like
it.
I know we talked about it before, and you also made like a huge video dedicated to it, and I kind of like that. It makes you kind of like a perfect Elder Scrolls connoisseur in a way, but you sort of because like the fandom is so dedicated to what gives them the most nostalgia. And like here you are being like an Oblivion gen, and sort of like praising Morrowind all over.
Like there was this whole thing with Morrowind. Like I would hands down, I would not blame anyone for not being able to get into Morrowind just
Nah,
based on
absolutely.
the gameplay. Like it sucks. By today's standards, you're so used to the most comfy like, you know, RPG possible. It's almost just like playing a
Terribly
first-person
broken.
shooter or something. But
But you know what? It
Yeah,
really
it's-
makes me appreciate that I did play Oblivion first, because I know for a lot of Morrowind players, it would have been a massive shock to see the Dark Elves change so much, among other things.
It was.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. Like, I would have been pretty angry, but because it was my first experience, I can love Oblivion
Yeah.
so much as my first Elder Scrolls game, you know, and then I can go
Think about
back
the
and love
beast
Morrowind
races.
as well.
like, think about the beast races losing
Yeah.
the legs. Like, actually,
Sounds-
because we accept it because we accept it because in Oblivion they were just like, you know, human cat people or lizard people. But like back in the day, they were far more beast-like.
Yeah. Couldn't wear shoes.
Back in those ancient days.
It's something that you
Yeah.
talked,
And
like
even some helmets.
you talked about a little bit, at least a little bit. That was it you? I think it was you guys, one of you. The whole race perks, like disadvantages, being removed,
Yeah.
sort of to make
Yeah,
it
yeah.
more equal, even. I don't know, and sort of
Yeah.
making every race less unique gameplay wise.
Yeah. Yeah, because then it's more meaningful to pick a Khajiit over a Dark Elf or something like that, and then it feels like you're role-playing
Yep.
that race versus just, you know...
Well, my first experience
I-
was Skyrim. I didn't even play Oblivion when it came out. I mean, I
Wait,
played
wait,
it once.
How do
and
how do
hated
I
it.
how do I disconnect? How do I log out from here? I'm sorry, Scott. I'll talk to you later. I can't do.
Wait, you're
this.
still here?
It's because of what I said.
I was like legit, like...
My bad.
No,
I mean,
but
well,
wait,
wasn't
Drew.
expecting
Sorry. Before we continue, right? I want to say that like there's so much stuff that improved in Skyrim, and that I don't know if it came
Everyone
out.
tread carefully around the Skyrim fanboy over here.
So, weirdly enough, the only reason I bothered to play Morrowind and kind of Oblivion is because I love the lore. Like, I play them specifically for the lore. You know, if I play Morrowind, I'm not actually going to play it properly. I pretty much just go into, you know, turn off clipping and just explore the world and talk to characters and things like that. So I feel like I kind of missed how difficult that game can be to play because I wasn't traditionally into RPGs until I was much older. So, you know, I love Morrowind, but not for the reasons I think most people
But
might.
I think the way I played it most of the time is kind of I didn't like use no clipping much or whatever, but I think Morrowind was the game that sort of made me more interested in playing the games for the world building, for the way the world is built around you, and the way I played it most of the time. I never like played it for a perfect RPG system, you know, or to sort of have a perfect build or try and do all the quest lines. I always played it because I kind of lived in it for a while. How you would probably describe
Yeah.
Oblivion, I would imagine, or Skyrim.
Yeah.
I didn't really
Yeah.
like. I
Yeah.
actually like. I wanted to like expand because this is the ones I was thinking like, Scott told me we're gonna talk about how did you get into Elder Scrolls series. I was thinking, okay, I have this. Well, this is like my one good story about getting into Elder Scrolls. Is my dad buying it to me, and when I launched it, and you cannot move after the cutscene plays, and I thought immediately, oh, it's one of those pixel hunting quest games, you know, like Myst, and I thought like, and I was like progressively getting disappointed because first I saw it's not a 3D shooter now, is it? And like when it obviously lets you move around and get out of a boat, and I was skipping all the tips.
And you're moving at like 2Ks an hour.
But like at the time, the games I played, what else? I played some weird games. You know, Jedi Academy one, with Star Wars. Yeah, maybe.
Oh, yeah, that
And I
was
didn't
mad.
do a storyline. I just played with bots, with multiplayer with bots. And
Yeah.
I don't know, Warcraft. I think I finished at that time. third one. So I wasn't a very experienced gamer overall. And RPGs, I don't think I played. I played like I secondhand played Diablo on a friend's PC before I had a PC, and I like didn't put any mind to. Yeah.
To be honest, outside of Pokemon, basically until I was like got an X. Oh no, I got a PC, and basically it was like Warcraft 3 for me. I was really into Warcraft 3.
Yeah.
And then Jedi Academy.
Sorry so much.
It's so good. Cliff Racer sounds. The Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh yeah.
As well, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Go on.
And Jedi Academy and stuff.
Yeah, Knights of the Old Republic. I played Knights of the Old Republic way later, but yeah, it's one of my favorites. But
yeah, I remember Scott. You spoiled that for me.
I was spoiled it
With
too
Red,
by a friend. Same story.
Yeah. Yep. They're like, oh, by the way,
you got to spoil it for everyone.
by the way, here's the Revan reveal. Yeah. Got that one.
Now we know
early.
there's a Revan reveal. Good start.
That still doesn't spoil it. It's alright.
Yeah, I feel like you can't. You don't have. I mean, some people say you would
I
have to
feel
be,
you,
but,
Mike.
like, be careful with spoilers for like it's
Yeah.
like nearly 20
At
years
this
ago.
point, I think
kind of thing.
you're good. But I mean, I never
Yeah, at
played
this
it.
point,
yeah.
I don't. Really
nobody
mind.
plays it. Let's be real. There's like a hardcore following, and nobody discovers it. I feel like that because like I've been actually following some fan groups of Knights of the Old Republic because before I was thinking, what if I can sort of do something because I love Star Wars, but like other than new and OG trilogy. I feel like because I haven't read any books or expanded universe, I felt like the games, the BioWare, and who took it on after BioWare, Obsidian, right? Made the Knights of the Republic 2.
Yeah.
Like
Knights of the
those two
Republic
games,
too,
they
yeah.
felt for me like my expanded sort of universe and continuation, or more like prequels of the prequels. And I wanted to sort of. Before at least I was curious about making something for those games, but I kind of I don't know got discouraged by how much more niche than the other niche was already.
I reckon it could go down well, to be
Yeah.
honest. Like
Also,
with Nazi Europe, there's still like people that like,
it's a
get into
hardcore
it.
fan community.
and I feel like it would, and the animations would just look sick. Like Star Wars
There was
animated
this
looks
one,
pretty awesome.
Sort of like a tribute to OG trilogy into a new one. I don't know who made it. There was this sort of animated tribute to Star Wars, and there was an even older, really cool sort of like a space battle animation set to some like sort of classic rock sounding music for whatever reason, and it looked incredibly professional.
Nice.
Do you know what,
I love that.
do you know what it reminds me of? Like when I was like about around like 10 or 11 or something like that, and I'm like first like kind of getting on my mum's computer and using YouTube, and so and I found this like a music video that someone had made with Knights of the Old Republic. It was like a Revan and Bastila like
Was it
romance
set to
video,
Evanescence?
basically, and it's like all of this fan art and stuff. No. It was set to Far Away by Nickelback, and it was playing. And I'm like, I was loving it as a kid.
Wow.
Is that what inspired
Did
you two to
my
have
early
your
memories.
lightsaber fight in the front yard?
Oh, it was the backyard.
Oh, dude,
Oh,
we
sorry.
were so-
Does that video still exist?
Dude,
Oh, I think it does.
yeah, I think it's still up
If
on
you
the
go
channel,
and
yeah.
watch when we got 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, we put up like a thank you video that shows Scott and I as young kids fighting with lightsabers. So if you haven't seen that,
And we had it like edited.
I
with
mean,
the
if
lightsabers
you
on and stuff,
watch
so.
those movies more than once, I mean, you probably took a stick in your hands at a certain point and play
yeah.
Oh
pretend.
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine Michael was
Absolutely.
the Sith guy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Nah, not. I don't know.
No,
I think
no.
Scott was kind of the cult leader. He kind of just decided. He'd just be like, "We're all Sith now."
That's how it works in the movies, though. That's how Revenge of the
Yeah.
Sith plot basically going.
yeah.
True.
Oh, dude. Revenge of the Sith, that whole final fight scene, it's never been topped
Yes,
for me.
perfect.
In like I think like in any fight scene ever,
Dude.
like the whole Obi-Wan versus Anakin, and the music.
I am a
so
fan of
sick.
Revenge of the Sith. I think it's like I admit
Yeah.
I understand why. But I was watching New Trilogy, was the trilogy I was like growing up with, and I kind of I was excited for every movie, and the Revenge of the Sith was the best one for me at the time.
I think it is
I
the
genuinely
best film, the best Star Wars film.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, but I know how the original trilogy does have its sort of like it's I think like a better overall kind of structure. But if you said to me though, you got to watch any Star Wars movie one right now, I'd pick Revenge of the Sith every
So
time.
all I can think about is
it is a
complex
subjective
right now.
favorite. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
hands down the
'Cause, dude-
subjective favorite. You can go back and look at things like Phantom Menace and especially Attack of the Clones, and because we watched it when we were much, much younger, you just can't believe what you're seeing, that you thought this was cool back then. Like some of the effects and stuff just look truly ridiculous. But subjectively, you just like it.
New Hope, man, the first Star Wars movie ever. I'm so over it. I never want to watch it again. I know that sounds like heretical to people, but like it's like I could actually just take I could probably watch Empire Strikes Back and like maybe the final scene of Return of the Jedi or something, because that final fight's
The
pretty
music
cool,
in
and it's got like emotion.
Return of
and
the
stuff.
Jedi, the music in the final scene when like Luke gets angry and there's like this choir, because we didn't have much of like choir before
Yeah.
that. It's like a very subtle, almost like Christmas Carol type choir, and it's like really
Alright, let's use
creepy
that
sort of
as-
and like pretty and sad a little bit. It's very cool.
Yeah, when he comes out of the shadows to strike him after Darth Vader's like
Yeah.
tempting him into it. But this is the perfect segue into your career of
Career.
music. You could
Career.
like, yeah,
Music career.
well, you could let people off like
Why did I
because you
say
said
that?
you
Why
were
did
telling
I-
me that you've been doing you've been telling me you've been doing music for a
Yeah.
while, because the animation is a more
Yeah.
recent thing, but the
It's,
music is.
It's
what it
funny,
all
but
started with.
animation sort of when I was a wee boy, and when I was really young, back before I even had a dial-up internet, I watched like some of the old Disney cartoons, like Christmas Carol actually was one of them. No, Christmas.
Like
What is it called?
DuckTales type things.
The one about the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. One with Scrooge.
Yeah,
Why are
that's
you
a
looking
Christmas
like
Carol.
it doesn't exist?
We're just wondering if it's Scrooge McDuck or the real guy.
Yeah. No. It's a Scrooge McDuck one,
Okay,
obviously.
yeah.
It's this. It's a real.
Oh, okay, yeah. So like some
MVP.
Sounds
DuckTales
funny.
type.
But uncap, the OG uncap. Yeah, and I don't know why. Maybe it wasn't that one, but I think it was one of those, because I had some like pirated VHS tapes that had also like some behind the scenes stuff where we make those animations like traditional old way. And I was already drawing quite a lot at the time, and I was like, oh, I want to do like animation now too. And I kind of remember something like sitting down at the table and with piece of paper and drawing something and going like, oh, it's gonna take forever now. So I decided to wait for technology to catch up. And I did some sort of attempts at animation when Flash was still. Whoa, why do I make everything sound like it happened ages ago? Macromedia Flash was Flash before Adobe Flash, and I never watched Newgrounds, but I believe a lot of Newgrounds stuff was Macromedia Flash animations, like was Stickman animations.
I was just thinking about
And,
that. Used to make the stick
yeah.
figure fights.
No, but I was always aiming too high at the time. Like I would want to redo a Troy movie or something.
Right.
Macromedia Flash, or actually Knights of Old Republic. I distinctly remember spending months setting up a scene where Malak is like facing on his like spaceship, like looking at space. And I was like studying the designs of those Sith fighters we had in Knights of Old Republic 1 and trying to replicate them like religiously. And I think it's really Italian, but I didn't finish almost anything back at the time because it sort of I didn't have patience at all for doing this kind of stuff at the time. But it's funny to think that it happened, like I had some sort of vague interest for animation very early on, when I would forget about it, when I did it a little bit, like around finishing school, and when I forgot about it for a long time. And like in uni I started getting interested in music, and then animation came back almost like 2 years ago, not so long ago.
That's pretty
Yeah.
crazy. I think that's like the like I don't know what your first stuff looked like 2 years ago, but like
Would be
your
cool to
animation's
find
pretty
it.
sick. So
Thank
I'm
you.
like,
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Because YouTube-
like 2 years of progress.
Yeah.
That's what you can see that in one of those kind of cliche inspirational videos where they show you how much someone can achieve in just a year or two, you know, trying out a skill that obviously you were drawing before, but just the level that you're at now is pretty impressive if you only started properly 2 years ago, like especially. I mean, it's impressive in general. You could have told me you were animating for 10 years. I'd still think it's good.
I think what happened is, and you sort of mentioned it, drawing is like just like still the key, and but it was like almost like a relearning process, you know, like like when I started doing it, I started with like bits of rotoscoping for an obscure music video for like a separate project of me and Owen, the guy who's like a big part of everything, all the scrolls I made, because he voiced he sang as Ulfric for Careless Tomb, and he did a lot of voices. Because like you might have not noticed, but I'm Russian. I have an accent. I know it's very subtle, but like yeah. But basically, I did a music video for us, and it was like the first animation since forever I made, and I had no trust in any. I didn't think I have any animation skills. Like I could imagine how a process would go, but I thought like, hey, what if I do this like MTV sort of Adult Swim, you know, like very crude, sort of spooky, creepy drawings, and I would use a lot of rotoscoping. I would like film myself, and then in Photoshop, legally purchased Photoshop, I would trace over my footage. And in that video, there was this one scene where I sort of had to draw it from scratch. And maybe because of that, I sort of felt I began to feel a little bit more confident. But it was like a very rapid process. I was also very impressed because I sort of, in parallel, almost coincidentally, started doing some freelance gigs, doing animated like music videos for like some other people. And because that was like a money-making thing, and I was like responsible to complete stuff on time, I sort of started to speed up, like blitzkrieg, the whole process. And at first I was using a lot of like vector graphics and After Effects, and I would like sketch stuff on paper and photograph it with my phone and put vectors on top of it. And I was using a lot of like tricks to avoid drawing like frame by frame movement when stuff turns around and looks like proper traditional animation, because I wanted to, because I never did it before. Now alarm. and and I didn't have like trust in myself. Like I almost forgot the drawing, and then super fast, as I it's kind of like opening something in you, like some hidden memories. I don't know. It's like the more trust I would put in myself, like I would discover that, hey, I don't need references for everything. Like I can actually draw a lot of movements from my head. And I feel like it's a combination of where I sort of made it a job very quickly, which is even more, probably sounds a little bit more insane, right? But people putting trust into it. uh, but also because I used to draw a lot as a kid, it sort of was like coming back to me, I guess, in a lot of ways. And like a lot of like technicalities of doing it now with even like I draw stuff frame by frame, right? With what is it called, the notepad, tab. And when I put it together in a different program, but a lot of like technicalities like that come with usage of those programs were not that complicated. You know, I feel like a lot of it comes down to drawing, and like how fast can you sort of sketch out how something would look if it turned around that way or moved that way. And you sort of, I don't know, I feel also
Yeah.
like everybody has a lot of this, like because if you watch a lot of stuff, you know, like you played all these games and you analyzed all these games and you made all these videos about world building in those games and like gameplay aspects of them. And if you were to suddenly become a game developing studio, it like a lot of your knowledge would come not
Yeah.
from even studying coding or all technical aspects, but you would have like intuition for some elements that you know from playing them. And I feel like a lot of like watching other cartoons or just animation in games, it sort of also helps. Okay, I'm drifting away with this. Like I'm losing focus. You got breathe it back on track.
That's good. But for sure, I can imagine like being paid as a job and using the skill in that job will make it go 100 times faster, just because it's like, you know, if you're like an aspiring writer or something and you want to like practice writing, it's very easy to rationalize, well, I'll go do
Yeah,
something
that
else,
also.
or I'll do that. But whereas if it's like someone is paying you to get this thing written, you go, oh damn, I got to get this written. So then it forces you, it puts you in that, it's just the right like aligning of
classic
incentives
accountability. You're accountable to someone who's not yourself. Because when you're accountable to yourself, I mean, it depends what kind of personality you have, but it is easy to just be like, well, how bad am I going to feel if I don't do it today? Not that bad, but like, you know, if someone's waiting, especially if they're paying you money, like you'll get it done.
You almost make me kind of like rethink how much influence that had on the process, because I kind of over the last same 2 years, I guess, I kind of made myself think that I'm really good at finishing stuff, but like takes a lot of time, and I started like taking pride. I should be saying it. I don't know. But like I would see a lot of like I did this JoJo Bizarre Adventure animation thing, and when I was doing it, I was looking at I was like suggested a lot of our JoJo Bizarre Adventure fan animations, and some are like really quality, so I would like watch them midway and close because I would get embarrassed. They can't top that. But I noticed a trend that almost majority of those fan animations were incredibly short. And more than that, like, and by short I mean like 7 seconds short. And more than that, I noticed a lot of people would upload like line work, like work in progress, sort of to show their subscribers before we upload the finished one. And I was like, I'm gonna make it 12 seconds, and I'm gonna finish it. Because and I guess I should give credit to like I did do much more animation for our people in a span of like half a year before I made the first Elder Scrolls related animation, the Khajiit one, the incredibly goofy looking one, and before I did Pelinal. So it was almost like a boot camp for Pelinal. All those projects that I made. But I think I didn't. Yes and no, because I didn't do anything. I know I did. I did do like something similar to Pelinal for Now Guy. I mean, in the sense of like style and like action driven sort of a lot of movement. I kind of, it was like the time I almost like fully regained trust in my skills. There's oh shit, I can actually draw at frame by frame stuff, and I can draw movement, beat, sometimes imperfectly.
I'd also say like your animation style is like a rather like unique one, I think. I like just from what like you see
Defined
around
by
on YouTube.
limitations.
So I think that like well, but sometimes like, you know, they say like limitations like
Yeah.
breeds like
Yeah.
creativity and stuff, like because you got to work within limitations, so you have to, you know, have creative workarounds and stuff. But like I feel like it's a nice animation style because like even with like, because it's a, you know, a little bit abstract and so on, like it looks a little bit, and that kind of helps it be like a cross medium, if that makes sense. Like so,
It
or
makes sense.
not medium, sorry, like Elder Scrolls or Star Wars or whatever. You could do all of those things in a similar style, but it's still like a uniquely
I almost
your
like I
trademark,
noticed
kind
people sort of mentioning the style, and it's not like I wasn't seeing it, but because when I look at my own work, I sort of I'm one of those people because it's sort of popular, especially if you look at like art posting on the internet. People would present themselves with so much insecurity, like everybody, like every other drawing person on the internet says like, "Ugh, I don't really like this one, guys, but here I come."
Yeah.
yeah,
But and
it's the classic felt.
Yeah,
shit,
but
right
I
to
love
leave
it.
later
Yeah. It's,
kind
I
of
love my
fake.
stuff. Like I love watching my stuff back, and I would notice things that I would have done differently. Say I notice things I'm not so happy about and imperfections and all that. But I still like genuinely enjoy watching after a lot of time passed. Maybe watching some stuff I made because it's almost like you're still making it for yourself first, and it's like the distance between having an image in your head and then seeing it fulfilled it's like incredibly satisfying. So
yeah, I can imagine.
I would enjoy my stuff, but I would still when people would notice or like talk about style, especially like with things that people would compare it to, like Adult Swim comparisons, I do get them because especially like Pelinal was like very purposefully crude dish. I don't know, like with all the extras like sketch style strokes that disappeared midway into a video because I upgraded my skill as I was making it a little bit. But yeah, thank you for saying that. I do hope that some sort of recognizable style is being developed in there. And I don't know, like if I don't know how it looks to you, but say like comparing the video that you took part in, the crime against humanity that you took part in. It was one of the early attempts to sort of upgrade the quality after Pelinal, because I wanted like okay, like we have
Yeah,
the
for
movement
sure, I can see that.
and all that like action elements. Like I want it to look a little bit sharper, and
Especially that like first scene with like Ellen walking out and stuff, and when you get close in the eye and everything.
yeah, I was really like
drama.
going all out
You can
because it was supposed to be a different video,
Yeah.
and you know it. Scott knows that.
Yeah.
It was like a completely different
Yeah.
video when Scott came in and made it different. It's like the same when you were lightsaber dude, and he said, "We are Sith now." I said, "No, Scott, you don't understand. It's a artistic take on the tragedy of human race." No. But yeah, I'm mentioning it because I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna say that like I felt like like because when thinking about what is the style of Pelinal, I was thinking am I abandoning it in a way, sort of. But I don't know, further down the line, especially like Evangelion stuff, and even more so like To Die or what JoJo Bizarre Adventure video, I feel like that's what I like more, sort of. And I hope it still has some sort of. I hope all those words that you assigned to my style can still be applied to those too. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, like you like even with Pelinal, like I think even when you do like, because there's parts where you've obviously like detailed it more, and then there's the in between movement shots and so on. But like, I don't know. I kind of like it as a stylistic choice, how it goes like a little bit more simple and less detailed in between the fast motions, and then
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
and this is something I think it retains for anything that's fast, especially. I feel like with animation, logistics play a huge part, and it kind of all goes back to work ethic and all that stuff. But sort of, I think I talked to you about it a lot for obvious reasons, and it's
Like, like it's that thing too where you like kind of get to the animations and so on, but I'd much rather have longer sort of, more of an animation without it being this super hyper detailed, but then it could only be 10 seconds.
Yeah, I wonder why those people,
it's so hyper
if
detailed.
it's the reason behind
because
short fan animations.
Well, you can use the hyper. Yeah, well, you can use the hyper detailed scenes, like sort of like you do in between, like at points of stills
but
and
if
so
you,
on.
if you
and,
watch
those
awful Japanese cartoons that everybody likes. So wait. But basically, right? It's like obvious that it's a big source of influence, I think, on anybody who's gonna take on animation, unless you're like incredibly art housey. I don't know. What is it? The wall animation?
I don't know what the wall is.
But basically, if you watch anime, right? And because it's a business first, you like see the logistics applied, the way it is made. It's like it's exactly how you described it. When stuff has to move, it's gonna have less detail. Like everybody loves Ghibli and Miyazaki Hayao, right? And everybody praises the level of detail, and it is a high level of detail, but it's a very defined, efficient, sort of practical style of producing animation where you can have backgrounds that are super detailed, but the fast moving or characters with a lot of movement are going to be incredibly simplistic. They would have like every part of them that has different color would have a color and one shade, because we have to throw all those frames for it. But it works together, so it creates this illusion of a complete world. Maybe because our eyes are so used to it now. We also almost don't, because like if you'd imagine like a close up in an anime, right? It will have like extra shadowing, a lot of like extra lines and textures, and when it cuts to like, I don't know, some fight scenes, it's gonna be much more simple.
Like Dragon Ball Z stuff.
Oh,
like
and when you mentioned like, I don't know, like when stuff gets not even like simplistic, but it gets like kind of crudish. I really like it, like Samurai Champloo. I don't know if any of you watched it. It's Watanabe Shinichiro, the guy who made Cowboy Bebop, and he's not an animator. He's a director, but like the animators on that, they sort of, it's almost like purposefully kind of like super when stuff is like the fights and everything is like super simplistic. It's still like not stylized to not look like human beings, but I know how to describe it. But yeah, I feel like the way you did, it's kind of like purposefully slightly crudish and simplistic. But I feel like people don't notice it on average as much because the transition is always very efficient.
For sure, like I think anyway with like the animations and so on, like and I guess this sort of applies to like movies and all kinds of stuff, is that you're like kind of trying to convey an emotion or like feeling collectively anyway, so it's not necessarily like the individual parts. So if that part might look like crude, it doesn't matter if it's supported by everything else that's going on. And here's a perfect segue, like things like the sound and music, which I know like we mentioned, you're really into it. But all of your animations
really
have all had, pretty much all of them, all music by
all music is by me. It's kind of like it was a funny thing about it, right? Because people are so used to YouTube being like struggling with using our like copyrighted content and all that, and sometimes people would ask where the music is from, and I would like have it on screen, like or in description. And you can't blame people. because it's not as, I don't know. I'm sure there are people out there who do everything as well. And,
It's not common. That's for
but
sure.
yeah, maybe it's not common. Like, you know, I
Yeah.
like, I have to hide my ego here. I have to not be like, obviously it's not common, Michael. What are you talking about? But
You know, I
but-
went through your entire SoundCloud. I've
Oh,
heard
no.
every single song on there, every single YouTube video as well.
Oh no.
Everyone.
Well, he's on the same for us. He's seen every, like, of the 2,000.
I'm
FudgeMuppet
surprised. I always imagined, because like Scott reached out to me, and I always imagined Scott is like bothering you too with my existence, sort of like for forcing like my stuff onto you.
No,
And,
I just went on a massive binge. I mean, I didn't watch all 3 hours of the By the Campfire stream, obviously, but
I never
pretty
watched
much everything else.
watched it back as well. I feel like the streams are meant
Yeah.
to like sort of be when you
A
catch
live
it
moment.
online. Yeah, you sort of were
Yeah.
by the fire.
I like your birthday cake videos as well.
Oh
They're
my
really
God,
good.
yeah, that's the deepest
Oh,
lore meaning.
Thailand.
Yeah.
But when
I've been
Scott
trying
first-
to sort of
Oh, go on.
yeah. No, go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, when Scott first introduced me to your content, it was with the Pelinal video, which I think, you know, is common, but it kind of, it really well encapsulates what I think we do a lot on the channel, because if we were only really interested in just what you hear in the games, especially in just Skyrim, we'd run out of ideas pretty quick. But one thing we love about the first era and stories like Pelinal's, I think like I've probably written a few videos on him already, is just how wacky it can get and how you can just let your imagination run free with it and allow speculation. And, you know, that animation kind of perfectly summed that up of just like, no, you know, you don't need to follow exactly word by word what's gone on in these texts. Just go crazy with it, and it looks amazing.
Thank you. And
It's
exactly. And also like something I like about your stuff, which well, I can actually say in return, but I kind of knew of your existence, but I didn't watch any lore stuff on YouTube at all. Like, for whatever reason, the Elder Scrolls content I used to watch was like, you know, Zilchonum, Morrowind Shorts, Mudge 12 Media guy. Yeah, Scott knows.
That's a name
Yeah,
I
that's so
haven't
funny
heard in
when-
a long time.
That's
Dude,
'cause that's so funny
he's
when you
gonna
brought
you
him
starting
up.
together in a thing. Don't you know?
Yeah.
yeah. Because I forgot all about him. Way back in the day, like when Michael
Old
and I
stuff,
were even
because-
making like our like ideal Elder Scrolls 6, like, so we were like mapping out what we'd want to be ideal. I think we even mentioned like, oh, we want Morrowind Shorts to do the voice,
God,
you know, like that kind
so
of like
beautiful.
voices like that, like so you could imagine the Dunmer voice, because like I think it was Jeff Baker, the original voice of
legend.
of the Dunmer and
Two
Morrowind,
legends.
but we wanted those voices to come back.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
also like I watched a lot of him, but he kind of, I think he sort of stopped making stuff for a while and came back almost like recently. He has a dedicated following. Funny thing about him is I reached out to him back when I was doing the rap videos, where Argonians a property and Ancillil, and I had an idea of Argonians a property because I was fresh off Filthy Frank, and I wanted to do something like what would be the opposite of Dan Bull stuff, you know, like something that like has like hip hop to it, and like a sort of darker, was like popular at the time, sort of darker side of SoundCloud rap, and I didn't want to do it myself. I wanted Tomorrow Shorts to do it, and I reached out to him and I sent him like this really low quality demo I had to do because I was in Vietnam at the time, and I went outside my hostel and I like stood on the roof and I rapped into a recorder over a beat I made, like a very shitty. I didn't have my microphone with me at the time, and I sent it to him with the lyrics, and he said it's really cool, but I don't think I'll be able to. I think he said something like, I won't be able to do this fast, and you should do it yourself. And I thought like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's like sort of I don't think he followed me at the time much, but we sort of reconnected recently, and I was still like get notifications for his stuff. He's really cool, but you see, I was watching content that was more like, I guess, sort of like this animation comedic stuff. I wasn't. I in general at the time I wasn't listening to much podcasts, or to some, I guess. But like when you commented on Pelinal, I kind of like I clicked on the channel. I thought like, oh shit. And when you continued to support me, to stalk me more, like no, but I was like, I was enjoying it. I was thinking, oh, that's cool, because that's you and like Morrowind shirts, and one very special to all of us Elder Scrolls related person, well, my like sort of Elder Scrolls community, like influential Elder Scrolls community people recognition, because it was really cool. And you continue to like share my stuff, and at the same time you like I started like checking out your stuff, because I didn't have a habit of like listening to people talk about the lore, and as
I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of videos full of
so
just
my
like
introduction
heaps
to
of lore,
you was kind of you talking to me and me watching your stuff. And very early on, one of the things we sort of agreed on, or like our interests met, is we were talking like about imagination, like what Drew mentioned, like just why would you recycle a limited amount of information from a few video games with a lot of retcon power, and then like go around promoting sticking to only that. So I've like very quickly gained respect
that's the
for
coolest.
what you do.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, like that's the coolest thing about like Elder Scrolls, I think. Anyway, is what I really like about it is it's like real world mythology in the way that it's like interpreted a lot. You know what I mean? Like it's like you know what I mean, and that it just it you know, it gives you that sense of the mythic. It feels like I was a big mythology kid. So I was really into all your Greek gods and your Norse gods, and I'd read about anything mythology. I just want like big books and stuff of just, you know, I have like little encyclopedia things of mythology and stuff in general. So I loved listening about the heroes and all that kind of stuff too. And then really getting into the Elder Scrolls, it's sort of like a similar thing. Like there's not many other games that have the same sort of emphasis on the mythology of it all, I don't think. Like, I mean, there's also like people say there's not games, but Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
But Lord of the Rings has like but even that, the way I'd say it, it's not really, as far as I'm aware, it's not like interpretable as much as it is. It's like, oh, here's gospel, like here's the Bible essentially, rather than it being like a piecemeal sort of thing
open
that you have to
the
stitch
Pandora
together. Yeah. It's like that whole video, the Elder Scrolls Universe Greatest, like every like second comment is like, oh, I love it a lot, but Lord of the Rings takes the cake for me. It's sort of, you know.
But yes, it's I don't know, I just feel like maybe I haven't played as many fantasy RPGs, but I do feel it's pretty unique in the way that most of it, if not all of it, I would even say all of it, is presented through points of view, like we would have with mythology of our world, like people recording stuff, people interpreting and misinterpreting stuff. That's what's cool about it,
and that's what makes it like interesting to engage with the world too, because it's not
interactive
just, like,
element.
It can be like, oh, he's like indisputable.
What you are
truth.
doing,
yeah,
basically.
and
it's what you do in a game as well. You influence the world. You change it. It's like,
yeah, and it.
No,
Sorry, go on.
He's
go
done.
on,
He's
go on.
done.
I was getting railed up. I was gonna go on a rant.
A rant,
So, yeah,
a good old choice and consequence rant about how we want to change the world in games.
Yeah, strongest will
Sometimes we
imposer.
can't.
And the modding, like such a big aspect of it, of the Elder Scrolls series in particular, right? It welcomes you to duck shit up. Are you gonna have to censor the word shit
Like
as well? You will.
We're far enough into the video.
We're not,
Probably
normally
not.
all right
I'm
this
so
far.
sorry. English is not real language to me, so it's like it
Yeah.
feels less less harmful when I do it in English.
But mods definitely do like I think they're a really cool part because it's like you can kind of like fix the games and make them more like akin to the older lore and so on, and like things like there was just one really simple mod that I really liked. I forgot the name of it, but it basically changes Skyrim to it turns Morthal into a proper marsh with like sort of no trees and so on. It makes Volkreath trees really really big, but then it takes away a lot of the trees from the northern area and so on. It basically gives you this more like harsh frozen sort of wasteland vibes at parts of it, and there's all these kinds of other mods you can get for like the armors and so on to make them look a little less World of Warcraft. Like, not that Skyrim does it too badly, but like some of them, like, you know, the steel armor kind of looks a little bit modern. It looks like the, you know, chassis of a car.
It's
like,
one
just
of the cool
fused
things
to
about
X.
modding as well, is that you got this idea of coda where, you know, everyone can have an opinion and basically like write it into the canon for themselves. Whereas with modders, you can physically bring it into the canon by yourself. You know, you essentially become a god by learning to mod the game.
Since you mentioned it, not the coda, but the being a god to it, isn't it sort of because it's a single? No, it's not anymore.
Yeah, it's not a single player.
But as a single player game,
Yeah.
right? You impose the strongest will on the world, and you sort of they give you this piece of entertainment to enjoy as a person. And you can change the events to an extent. And we give you different interpretations of the events in like game books and stuff. And sort of, it kind of like the whole Godhead thing and all that. It kind of puts you in a place where it gives you all the tools to sort of go wild with your imagination and interpret events differently.
There was this,
and I've probably had a much better point
like,
before I came to the last sentence.
well, I was gonna say, like, there's interesting. A lot of people like who are so for, you know, the whole idea that Kirkbrade's coda pushes forth anyway is that Elder Scrolls should be treated as a more sort of
Another
open source lore type thing, in the way that like you know how like Shakespeare has its you know billions of different retellings and so on that, you know, changes things up, but it's all drawing from a sort of core source. But like the idea, even if you look at its like roots as a tabletop game, like when you get a tabletop game, if you're saying like here's Glorantha, you're playing it, you're allowed to make changes, because like there's no one here like, you know, saying no, you can't, you know, you can't make this role-playing decision, or you can't like, you know, twist this god a little bit and change this little bits around here. So it's kind of like the idea is that it was just sort of a here's the set, and then you go off with it. In a similar way, it's sort of like, you know, oh, here's Morrowind, here's the set, now you go off with it. And it's sort of like, you know, obviously with the actual video game, there's like all kinds of limitations to that, but just the sort of...
But you see, we can limit the gameplay aspect of sort of the choice. It is always limited, more or less, in most games, right? It's like a constant struggle, especially with newly released games, like your take on Cyberpunk, for example. The whole actual freedom of choice in an RPG game is like a struggle for a lot of game developers. And even...
Do you know what? This actually loops... Sorry, I was just going to say this loops back to like what you were saying about animation. It's like it goes super high in detail and everything, and then they, you know, have to make a short sort of thing. Same deal with this. They go super high budget, all of these cinematic angles and all of these cool movie moments, but then they have to, like, you know, close the options, close the choices. It needs to be nice and narrow because it's just impossible to do otherwise.
That's true. Makes me think, but it makes me rethink some of my choices. But yeah, it's so natural to sort of desire the wow effect, like especially with visual medium. You know, like how much more sort of impressive I can make it visually, so you can get lost in it. And sort of, it's not so much even about like substance. Even like the rule of cool can be presented as substance, like how many cool things you can do in it, or seeing it, you know, like you're saying. It's sort of you can sacrifice sometimes the quality for content, I guess. No, it sounds weird, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
sacrifice quality. You can sacrifice quality of content for content. But I was gonna say that it's if the games like say Morrowind can limit your choice by the limitations developers had on how many quest lines they could present you with, it cannot like limit how you interpret all the stories and lore thrown at you. Like this is the one medium that those games retain from tabletops, the imagination part, that sort of has no like engine or developing limitations on it. And especially with like Morrowind, say main quest line, when famous, you might not actually be the guy. Like by the end of the game, you just like a really nice con job by that drug addicted Imperial man. Just play.
I've been listening to
them.
that song too much, the Moon Sugar song. I like it.
Thank you very much. I'm learning so much about Michael because Michael was like a mystery to me all this time. Same as Drew. There's like a bigger mystery.
What are you learning? Just that I like your stuff.
Yeah, but it's not like I would imagine that. Like maybe not.
No, it's good because it's subtly funny, but if you forget that you're listening to something that's satirical, you can kind of just enjoy it unironically.
Yeah, I feel like
you feel the chill energy coming from it. You kind of want to join in.
Oh, nice, exactly nice. Because it's the
you know what I mean. It's like a
I do.
Just vibe.
I do. Thank you. Yeah, I do know what you mean. But it's like this is kind of a goal in a way. I feel like for a lot of people making this kind of stuff, because you would make something, and like you would intentionally make it with a humorous angle, but then because say you like making good stuff or stuff that sounds good to you, at least you sort of put a lot of effort into it. When you get lost midway and you suddenly all becomes very serious.
Well, it's kind of like Filthy Frank, you know. He would make joke songs, but you would hear them and be like, there was a lot of effort put into the instrumental for that joke. Are you going to do the same thing? Are you going to go full Joji mode and you'll be a celebrity soon?
I don't think I... No, I mean, it depends how much. Depends how much. Because I don't know. What if George? No, like I would imagine George is really fed up with all that. Like with the people who still sort of. He doesn't have notifications on on Twitter. I'm sure. Yeah, but it's sort of. It's from him. I would imagine it's what he does exactly what he wants. And I don't know if you look at for example, like Elder Scrolls stuff I made, you can sort of see with Pelinal being a turning point, how like I didn't do as much sort of, how do you describe it, like contemporary music in that way, and after that I sort of started getting caught up in trying to make something a little bit more like a cartoon episode, and like use music as like soundtracks. And that kind of like, that sort of surprised me as well, although it feels like a natural progression. But it's like looping it back to Georgie. I love doing music quite a lot, obviously. And I do love producing animation. And I've recently begun to wonder if like this blend of it, which basically is like, say, animated films, is what I eventually would want to do. And I'm not like 100% sure, because sometimes I do like to make like a song, a proper song, not like a soundtrack. But I don't know. Especially like doing Evangelion stuff. Thinking maybe I don't know if it doesn't sound, but maybe I want to be like Hideaki. I don't know. Maybe I want to make like a full-on feature film, you know. But I'm going to write a soundtrack for it. All I need is I think like that would be a sweatshop of animators. It can work off my keyframes. Yeah, but that's why it's like a cool. It's like a cool blend between the two, you know, like a music video and a animated show episode, like a mini version of it. Because like as in musicals, you can sort of not necessarily like a proper musical, but music videos do tell stories or have like storylines, and you can expand them like with extra scenes, and it kind of becomes like a blend between two. And for me doing both like the visuals and the audio, obviously with like a lot of support from like Owen doing voiceovers, and I've incorporated some really cool people recently. We had like and like the Emma Katerini, she's gonna kill me for her spell her family name. Katerinicho. She played like I had a live cello on some tracks. We had an Elder Scrolls and like this Simona, who did like who sang in like a broken Islay Dune, what I put together from a dictionary for Aurora and Golden Eagle. And I just wanted to mention these really, really cool people. But like out of that, doing
How do you?
Go on.
I was just gonna say, how do you go about finding these?
It was I'm actually kind of. I was lucky. I would with last, like Simona commented under something. I was looking for somebody completely different. She sort of commented saying, I'm like a classically trained soprano singer," and I thought, whoa, because like that's kind of stuff that I dreamed about, like working with this kind of people, like classical musicians, because I love like the cinematic element in all that. I love dramatic stuff, you know. And I always wanted to have something sort of to like properly trained people to do their takes on my not classically trained music writing. And she commented I was really lucky because she's a fan, she's an Elder Scrolls fan, and she just reached out, and I said, that's somebody I definitely want to do something with, to produce something with. And Emma, who plays cello, she's like Owen's friend. Owen put me on to a lot of people. I mean, Will, like for example, for some like voices that I don't have, he's like in the future at least. And he introduced me to her. But I if you notice, I don't really. It's kind of like a new thing, incorporating more people. Before it was just me, and then Owen sometimes.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I was always getting a little bit nervous, I guess. Like involving more, like the way. I think it's okay. The way Michael Kilbride called it, moving parts, like too many moving parts.
Yeah.
Sort of like because it loops back to. I'm gonna be using this phrase so much now after all you said it. Loops back to like finishing stuff and being efficient. Sort of always like it's the more people you have on board and stuff. But when it came to you three, like when I had this idea for Scott, of a reference he didn't know about from like Cowboy Bebop, and I'm not gonna be mentioning it so I don't spoil it. But I really liked that idea of like where all three of you sort of do that thing, and it's kind of like the sketch stage of it is finished. And I really like
if you need us to redo anything, just let me know.
Yes, Scott kept on like saying like tell me if like any of it sounds like, if you want to change any of it. No, it sounds like you do it you, which was what is expected. Like Drew sounds so. I want to mention like what Drew is like. How would I describe it? Sounds so. I don't know. Noble. It's like,
I think you couldn't have picked a better word for him.
Yeah, it's like, and it was so easy. It was a new experience for me to animate off the voice, and I was imagining I'm gonna be chopping up the voice tracks a lot, but no. Same with like what Morrowind Shorts provided me with. Why am I calling him Mage? I don't know. He never sort of mentioned what he wants to go by. March 12 Media, check him out. And I just put his audio in, put your audio in, and I was just like animating off of it. And it was a new experience. And it was really cool because like I was looking at your faces a lot. I was like having like a tab with a podcast, one of the recent podcasts open, so I can sort of keep reminded.
So do you
beautiful
find
they are.
that people's voice, depending on
And,
who's voicing what, it's going to affect how they move and how their faces move and things like that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Even though it's like even though I'm always like we talked about, there's always like limitations. I don't know why. If I don't mention it, nobody's gonna probably notice. But there is like some sort of minor body posture, stuff. That might be not authentic to how you are in person in real life. But sort of listening to your voices and looking at you on podcasts, this is my image of like the FudgeMuppet guys. And
really fun to see.
That
and
could
like,
be bad. I should.
and Michael was the first one I was trying to sort of have like a cartoony version of, and because there is like a lot of movement, kind of like a lot of movement. Because for these kind of scenes, I found from my experience that you need to find this distinct stylized versions of people, but sort of because maybe I'm still learning. You look like at the face and you think, oh, I kind of want to replicate the features. I don't want to just like completely draw like a Elder Scrolls race character, I want to have something to be that, to me at least personally, represents a person. And you at first like struggle between trying to literally draw a person's face and but when slowly sort of shifting towards finding like a stylized version of Michael. Yeah, I'm not should have been mentioning the race with Michael is even though Scott told me I can make you anything, I still like went back to what was mentioned initially. But it was such a good idea. The pick for Drew, the thing that Drew picked, the thing. I know you can say the thing about those guys because I don't know what the hell they are. I'm not a dendrologist. I'm sorry. I'm not a nerd.
It's going to look pretty interesting with our voices on specific races.
I go to Cloud District very often. Can you just not upload this? And, but yeah, I loved it. Like I remember like Scott mentioning that, and I was thinking I know you, Scott, probably noticed like I enjoy like the crazy ideas. Sometimes even you have to like tell me, well, I think it's a little bit over the top, but I really liked it, and I even sort of placed on the table that you are at. I placed like a reference to why Drew is what he is, maybe in a way, because it makes sense for this kind of
I'm really
character
excited
to
now.
be there.
I
Yeah,
can't wait.
and it's like I showed somebody close to me. I showed those sketches, and then I showed like your faces, and for whatever reason, Drew was the most recognizable.
Don't know whether to be
because in like
pleased or
sketch form,
scared.
it doesn't have the certain skin tone that those guys have, and all the additional texturing and decorations we bear. So it's like in sketch, it's easier to recognize the face. But yeah, there is a lot of influence from like the voices. I'm
looking
excited
forward to
for it. I'm hoping it works out well.
Well, actually, I think I mentioned to you when this episode would be out. It's like I think February 7th or 8th or something.
Yeah, I hope. I hope so. I really hope so. You can even probably upload it later if I delay it, because it would make sense. I think it's kind of like a nice packaging, I guess, for like the cross
Yeah, definitely
subscribers.
drop them together.
Yeah, it's cool because like I said, it was something new. I didn't do this kind of stuff before, and I mentioned to Scott again that it's kind of like those YouTuber animated things some animators do for like less player people. I was thinking, shit, this is like FudgeMuppet animation. Much cooler though, because it's not an animatic; it's a full-on thing. I mean, it will be. But yeah, thank you for taking part in this, because it's fun. I hope Michael is okay with Michael, with AllinAll version of Michael.
It's alright. Look, if you've made me a Bosmer, I'll probably look hilarious.
You know the funny thing about you and like your voice and like the image, because obviously, right? Like I had a call with Scott before, and like I kind of could already have a more developed image of Scott or how he is when he talks off script, and but with you, like I sort of just my image of you was like from the interactions.
Oh no.
Very intellectual interactions. And like watching podcasts, obviously, and I don't know, you're kind of almost intimidating in a way. Like subtly.
No way.
Drew just seems kind.
I will say,
Aw.
this is a very informal podcast. I will say, I tend to look like a bit like a deer in the headlights on camera. I don't know why. I'm just never really comfortable. Like sometimes I'll see comments and people are like, "Oh, Michael looks like he's like looking off into the void of Sith or something during the podcast." And I look at it, it's true, but not that I'm looking into the void, but that I don't know. The second that there's a camera on me, even if I feel calm mentally, like now I feel pretty chill, but there's just something about my face that says he's not chill right now.
You kind of have to forget
you know what I mean?
the camera's on.
I would imagine a lot about my body movement now will tell what I'm sort of having a new experience in my life. First time talking to FudgeMuppet. But I don't know. It's interesting how you sort of responded to it now, because I was like midway as you were talking, I thought, should I have said that? Was it like too
What are you scared of me?
Like I not like scared, but are you gonna like, is it gonna be weird or something, and you like cold-heartedly retort. Yeah, I know it looks like I look into a void, but well, it looking back, so yeah, I don't know. It's I'm still just really excited about how the process turned out, because it's like a new element in the work process. Like having these characters from the people I don't know personally and sort of interpreting them. Yeah, Scott was the easiest one, I think.
Yeah, what's the main reason for that?
Well, because of I think it's okay. I'm just gonna say it, Scott. I'm sorry. It's a haircut. It's a Dunmer haircut. Because there's this almost similar hairstyle in Vanilla Morrowind.
Actually, there is.
And
too,
like,
I can think of them.
it's the funny thing about your arc in there, is that I've sort of skipped over the last note in the script. I kind of read it and forgot about it. But then I almost subconsciously started bringing this note to life, but like exaggerating it. You probably don't remember what it is. It has something to do with drinking.
I can't remember.
And I sort of forgot about you mentioning
that.
And I was still drawing a lot of that happening. I because of because of the stylization part and like people talking, and there are so many established ways of showing people talking in Japanese cartoons that you can rely on efficiently. You don't need to invent a wheel again, and sort of combine some body movement, but not like continuously to sort of for logistics reason. You have those like I was using like the mouse for like for talking like for first time, because in Today, if you look at it, it does the reverse. Like you're always looking at the listener, not the person talking. But here I had to like combine both, and where I was going with this, I don't remember. Something about basically it's very cool. FudgeMuppet is he's like amazing actors, amazing voice actors.
Yeah.
Michael is looking into the void, and Drew is just a noble representative of his kind, of his dendrologist kind.
I'm sure many people have like people who've been watching your animations and so on. That's something that's sort of changed with the after the Pelinal one, with the Evangelion one.
Yeah.
That it sort of started kind of building an overarching story,
Yeah.
like between the animations, like To Die as well. Like it all sort of builds on this sort of this similar bowl cut character.
It does, but we just
and
go.
so on.
I don't understand. Like, what? It was worth it. 2 hours yesterday. It was worth it.
No, we haven't even got that set up.
Yeah.
Get a soundboard.
I can share
Future
with
podcast.
Drew.
We would
This one.
abuse it.
He's gonna need this one.
To be, or we just mess with it all the time. I feel like it could be like.
Go on. Sorry. Continue.
Oh yeah, I was just saying that like it's a overarching story. It's different. It's like a different like kind of because all of your other ones were pretty isolated,
Yeah.
like self-enclosed. Whereas now
The
you're trying to build
continuity.
like a longer
Like
narrative.
those famous Elder Scrolls YouTubers, FudgeMuppet. They say it loops back to playing with misinterpreted mythology and basically doing what brings you joy, because I think Pelinal is like Drew mentioned, it's such a sort of I wanted to mention it before but I forgot. The hand of killing light, is it what it's called?
Yeah.
It's on the
Yeah.
wrong hand.
Oh.
It is.
Really?
It is, and it happened
I didn't even pick up.
early on, and I chose to not change it. And it to me, looking back on it, especially with how much traction this animation got, I'm sort of like proud of that, because it was like a sign of change. It was like, this is now a playground. Nothing is holy anymore. It's like I think there is no repercussions for modding the mythology, like legal ones. I don't think there is. And yeah, but because like I don't know if like, but yeah, doesn't matter. But it's exactly what it was. It was like I don't wanna copy paste things that were already said. I'm not like interested in it anymore. I'm trying to find like
Yeah, you want to put your
a
spin
better
on
way
it.
of saying it. It's the same thing you do. You're not gonna go and say, "Hey, open up Wikipedia. I'm about to read a sermon, like at the religious practice. Hey, today we got here today."
It's like about the
Yeah, you'd rather.
Well, that's like we interpret like the lore and try and build the story from what like the pieces in the same way that like you can kind of build upon
Yeah.
it and interpret your
And,
own way.
you know-
and in your one,
Okay,
Pelinal's got Terminator vision with all
but
the
it was the
Dwemer lettering. It's
the early idea for that. I'm very good at continuously branching out, so you gotta stop me if I branch out too much. Go loop me back, please. But I want to mention about the Terminator vision, right? It's like the early idea for the whole thing was just 2 loops. One is where he stands with without Mori House, actually initially over the fields of dead I laid, and the Terminator meme, because I made the music before the animation, and it was like I want to do Gregorian chants, but then it goes into the Terminator clang sound thing, and then I realized that the overused Morrowind theme actually kind of plays well over it and resembles sort of a way the synth strings come in the original Terminator thing. And I made that, so the Terminator was fixed into the music. And then the vision was just like, Like I actually went up and I had the either similar font or the exact font, the HUD, you say HUD, right? The Terminator UI, the Terminator HUD is using. And I looked up the way his HUD, and like I was so, I don't know why, but I have all my audio directed right at but that was it was one of the early ideas for it, and because
I really like. Sorry, I was just gonna say while we're talking about that video, I really like when Pelinal looks and scans the screen, so it kind of looks like he scans you as the viewer when the light goes over it.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna say
purpose,
yeah.
right?
I definitely thought about that. Yeah, it's nice catch, Michael.
Because when I watched it on my phone, I didn't realize. Like the first time I saw it on my phone, I couldn't tell. But when I watched
it's your lore
on a
interpretation.
monitor,
It's you just made
it. Was big. It just kind of whoosh, and it like
I think
covers the whole screen.
Yeah. But I made it sort of. I like the whole camera is where too thing. You know, like with blood and tears splashing on the lens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like part of that. It's kind of like crudely trying to imitate, you know, when you shine a flash something at a screen and it has this like blinks for a moment. That's cool with you interpreted it like that.
Khajiit.
Yeah, he's here. He probably is. Yeah, I actually never watched Garfield or read the comics. Wait, is it a cartoon only the comics?
I think it's both.
Yeah, you see, it's just a meme.
I mean, the live action films are
there was
the
those
pinnacle
movies
of Garfield, I think.
Yeah.
I can only remember comics and the movie.
Yeah.
It's like was never part of my childhood or anything, and I just know it from memes, and it just made perfect sense because he's a furry.
So is Michael.
He's a cat.
Yeah, he's a cat. I don't know why he speaks, man. That's a little bit weird. And but he's there. There's a Garfield there. Nice catch, Michael.
Yeah.
I am upset though that you made his right hand the killing light, because you don't get many left-handed characters in video games, especially because the way they're made. You know, you got to be right-handed for the view. You know, we get one badass left-hander, and you just, you.
Yeah.
Rewrite
Drew's a left-hander like me.
Oh,
so
shit.
we're disappointed you took away our left-handed character.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Not. Yeah, wait.
Are you going to go back and redraw it?
Did you hear the delay still had the previous part of a word that I said before that? That's pretty hilarious. I'm so sorry. As I was going into this, I was saying, okay, don't abuse that. Like, I know you think you're really funny, but don't do it. It's you're a guest in this house. Act accordingly.
Just do it for the rest of the podcast.
It's too late.
Yeah,
now.
just you should
right.
get it. You should do the same thing for all the podcasts.
You've made this podcast probably the longest
I
maybe like the ranking days.
I was looking at the.
We had a bunch of shorter ones.
I was wondering, by the way, are you gonna like cut it up?
We'll see.
Not leaving it all
Just
in. It's all raw.
Yeah, but it's good for the algorithm. But I mean, I would imagine like, well, the deeper into it, I can say a more sort of provocative stuff because nobody's gonna reach those parts.
Yeah, see, that's a luxury you don't normally get.
We can start sort of opening up slowly about everything, which we love about Elder Scrolls game series by Todd Howard.
Well, the algorithm's kind of rough on animators these days. I remember YouTube used to be all about animation, and then it kind of took the back seat, and it was too much work for not long enough a video to really make the most of it, right?
And then the breach happened for everybody. But the longer videos, the bridge. The I'm so happy with this in. But it's in look back, yeah. But animation, longer videos, right? I don't know. There was a point when I started messaging Scott a lot, and because I was new to the amount of exposure I was getting compared to you at the time you were like established, and I was sort of adopting still to I don't know, reading feedback and thinking of what I want to do.
Yeah.
And compared to like early days when I had a smaller following, I know, a much smaller following than that, but I kind of was a little bit more interested in what people were interested in, and as like the effort expanded, as like the quality grew, the interest in what people are interested in decreased significantly. It's like because
it's fair enough. If you're gonna put in all the effort, you want it to be the exact artistic vision that you want it to be, especially when you start animating high level stuff. I can imagine it just completely comes down to what you want. And the other thing anyway is, especially as you get a bigger following, you can't please everyone. And even listening to some people, it will harm your style. You know,
true.
Like I feel like it's important to have your own.
Yes, it's not important. It's like survival stuff. It's survival stuff. I think Scott put it really well. You were quoting like a book at me about don't. What was the word? Don't be like a hack, I guess. Towards yourself.
Don't be a hack.
Don't be a hack. Yeah.
But it loops back. Wait, I gotta do it properly. It loops back. It loops back into longer videos in YouTube algorithm, because YouTube doesn't favor what I do at all. I think it's
no.
Unless you hit a vein, sort of, unless you make something which is related to something which is really popular, it's not what YouTube deems profitable. Because if you look at the top of a crop, and it's like it's the way the money goes, is nothing you can do about it. So it kind of becomes more about what I want to do, you know. And I wanted to mention it because, like you mentioned, the animators in the earlier days, they were kind of like more maybe, but everybody was definitely more profitable on the platform in the earlier days. I like how you never mentioned that, and I begin to sound a little bit like a like a guy who's only interested in money now, because like you never ever mention it, and it's your job. It's like your proper, because I cannot call the machinel my job, because it's I still have to do like those animations for our people for money, but so it like truly becomes, what do I really want to do? But then the whole it still kind of can be if not a job but like a support, right? And you kind of feel like, hey, I'm putting so much into it. Would be nice to have both, you know. Would be nice to have like an audience and to be compensated for your time. So you begin to think like, well, you begin to prioritize more. And sort of like I concluded recently, I'm still like new to all that, but I concluded that one of main priorities to do what you want, I guess. First, you know, the artistic vision and all that. Because like I'm going to look back and I'm going to think like, oh, I enjoyed so much drawing Michael over and over again. And, or doing something that has a little bit, or not, or has still has like enjoyability aspect to it, but also potentially can hit a big audience. And that's been like on my mind quite a lot recently.
Yeah, I'd say definitely where those kind of roads cross together, like the hit a big audience and do what you want, definitely. I mean, I like to err on the side of do what you want.
Yeah,
more.
but by the end of the day, yeah, still probably.
Yeah.
Just because it's a field. It's in. I mean, for you probably too. I do know, and I imagine there are a lot of people on the platform who just run it as like pure business. You know,
Yeah.
like the pass
Mm.
by time is like the hobbies are just, I don't know, chilling somewhere, doing nothing really. So that is like pure work, or like it's an enjoyable work still, and maybe we enjoy it, but you know, all the good stuff, all the clickbaity stuff, all the lengthy stuff that
Yeah.
thrives off what is already accumulated, and it's like purely business. Because I cannot imagine somebody doing that and like having passion for it. So you do have passion for aspects of it, but so I think like the platform kind of if you
Because it's you
yeah
like got to be in a position where you can keep on doing it. Like you can be, you can go through phases where you're sort of like going at it from that sort of business mindset, and you're doing, so whatever work, and all the views are there, and it's great, and you're like, yeah, this is awesome, and so on. But then if the views disappear, then you're completely uninspired and just hate doing it. Whereas if you love doing it, even when you aren't getting views, like huge amount of views, you still need some, I guess. Like you don't want, if it's sitting there as a text video,
yeah.
you want to cry. But
Wait,
like, but it keeps you excited, or like you're proud of what you've
I cannot
done,
imagine.
even though, because it's a good
I mean, I
thing.
can imagine a little
Yeah.
bit because before I found, I guess, my style or my format for what I do now, and I was really because I did like music for a while before that. It's all about like performance in the element. It's all about wanting an audience, and like before I had even my early days audience, I was trying. Like Michael knows, he watched. He saw some stuff
Oh yeah.
in the back catalog.
I've seen everything, man.
Yeah, so it was always some things, maybe even unlisted things. There was some attempts that were purely me sort of thinking, hey, what if I jump on this trend? What if I do this? Everybody probably, maybe not you guys, I don't know, but you hear a lot of those stories where people try different things because certain things are set to work. And it's incredibly dissatisfying to do something because you thought it's... not because it's like your original new idea, but because you thought it's gonna work. And when it doesn't, and you don't have this satisfaction of having produced something for you, having produced something that is... You can look back on and think, oh damn, that's a nice cake I'm eating there. And that sounded way better in my head. With all the slang.
What about what led you? I'm just curious. This is a bit random, but what led you
Yeah.
to make the surf album, the Elder Scrolls Surf?
Oh
album?
yeah,
I love it.
But
I love it.
first, I'm gonna ask: Did you know about it? You didn't, right? After Pelinal, you discovered that, and you didn't hear that stuff before Pelinal.
After Pelinal, yeah.
Yeah, it was like my first Elder Scrolls influenced, I guess, like sort of splash into a pond.
That's a very good. Yeah, I like that. Splash into a pond with the surf album.
I was so excited back in the day. It was like the last time I asked people, "What do you want?" But what inspired it is the photo of one and only Michael Kirkbride pointing some steampunk-looking gun into the camera, and somebody captioning it like, "Chim, do you understand it?" or something like that, as a reference to Pulp Fiction and English, do you speak it?
Yeah, right.
And I thought,
I think I know the picture.
I thought miserable, Dun, 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 dun. Oh, I have an effect for that. Wait, I'm so sorry, guys. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, basically I thought this is so stupid. I didn't do it. But like the Pulp Fiction surf theme song and all that, and I did the Morrowind thing, and I initially kind of wanted to share it with like a super small Russian lore community on vk.com, which I did, but then sort of I also shared it to Reddit, and I kind of, because some people really enjoyed it, I decided I'm gonna exploit it and expand it, and it was so themed. And even back when I was thinking, what is this? It's like how much deeper can you dig, and like how much smaller can you make this? It's an obscure. No, I mean at the time Skyrim was quite popular, right? It was like the high days of Skyrim, but it's like surf rock music and Elder Scrolls. Like it narrows the audience down so much. Like where do you go from here? And I genuinely wanted. I was inspired to do like a mini, like an EP of sorts. But if you heard it, all of it, it sort of changed on the second track, like right away, immediately, because I couldn't. I think it's like a common theme for me. Like I cannot. If there is a format, it's more about the level of effort and like visuals, original visuals and original music. It's not so much about one aesthetic or one sound in particular. I mean, obviously, I repeat myself a lot. You have your habits. You cannot escape them entirely. Well, like, so like with the surf stuff, the second thing that I made for it was way less popular than the first one, because I did something more for me, and I wanted to do something differently. I did the Skyrim one with Dragonborn surfs. I said it. Yeah, and it was like immediately like this kind of like people were like, I like the first one better. And
Right.
among the people who said that was Owen. I didn't know the guy at the time. I just saw it on Facebook because I was Googling myself. I was very new to it all. And I kind of shared it jokingly. And yeah, that's how we became friends since that. Because he didn't like the second surf track. But I made it because of that photo. And it was just an interesting experiment, I guess. And also, like, I felt like, at the time, partly inspired by seeing a response, seeing a reaction. For the first time on that scale, even smaller scale compared to now. But I really like, I guess a lot of people like the last one, the one that doesn't sound like surf music at all, the one with, for
The
Oriel Ascension.
Oriel's Ascension one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of really
Top
nice.
of my head.
It almost, it almost like reflects my sentiment at the time when I realized that the hype died out. And I'm back to doing like weird, obscure stuff but it's really cool that since those days there were like a couple of people who followed me because of that, and like we're still like one of them is on Patreon, and I'm like talking to him from time to time. I don't know, it just like feels really cool when some people stick through the cake videos until yeah. And but yeah, it was the surfing.
Yeah.
What a way to, maybe a final note for the
Yeah.
podcast, surfing. Nice
Finally.
and chill,
Yeah.
relaxed. You know. Yeah. Well, I think this is the
Okay.
end of the podcast. An hour 45 minutes.
Yeah,
Smashed
that's
it.
a big one.
Is it too much? It is
That's
too
it.
much, isn't it?
Nah.
No. It's fine. People, like you'll see in the comments, they'll be like, next week, the week after this one releases, they'll be like, oh, we want
again.
we want a longer podcast, and we'll be bringing them a 45-minute one, and they'll be disappointed.
We're gonna go like, who's this?
Well, thanks
yeah.
everyone for coming along.
Check out-
This is not
AllinAll's.
our.
Check him out. We'll
Thank
have
you.
all his links and stuff below. So go click those, go over there, subscribe, look at his animations, tell him how great they are.
We'll be in
Yeah.
one.
And we'll be in one.
featuring in one
Yeah, we will be.
soon, or it might already
And
be out.
massive
depending
thanks
on
to
how-
anyone watching still. You've made it the whole
Yeah.
way.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Let's
Alright.
give a round of applause to whoever. Sorry for.
Come on, Scott. You gotta clap him. There we go.